Bankrupting a Limited Company, the complete guide to the Canadian corporate bankruptcy process. Last week, I spoke about a voluntary filing an assignment in bankruptcy for an individual, the personal bankruptcy process in Canada. This week, I want to describe the process for bankrupting a limited company, the complete guide to the Canadian corporate bankruptcy process. So the first step is for the directors to meet with the trustee to explain the corporate financial position and look at the options available to the company and its directors. The first thing the trustee will want to identify is the company insolvent. If you liquidated all of its assets, could it pay off all its liabilities in full? Is it generally paying off its debts when due on a regular basis? If not, then the company is insolvent. If it is able to pay its debts, and if its assets are worth at least as much as the liabilities, then it is not insolvent. So let's first look at the aspect of the business not being insolvent. The next question is the business viable? Does what the business produces or the services it provides, are those still wanted in the marketplace? Yes or no? If not, one thing to look at is there someone else with other business lines that you could sell your business to and it would fit in neatly in some form of integration so that all of a sudden it makes your standalone business that is not viable. Keep in mind that it is a solvent business. If it can't be sold, then you could always look at a statutory liquidation. You would liquidate the assets, pay off the liabilities, and then see what amount is left over for distribution to the shareholders. If the business is viable, and remember it is solvent, you could sell the business or look at a corporate restructuring if you want to continue running the business. And that kind of restructuring would be more in terms of processes and personnel because it is not in financial trouble. If the business is insolvent, again, we still want to know, is it viable? If it is viable, then we could look at doing a restructuring proposal. After the company is restructured, then we could either keep running it or look to sell it. If it is not viable and it is insolvent, then there's not a lot that can be done. The business is unhealthy financially, and the marketplace no longer wants the products or services this business provides. Therefore, we're looking at either receivership or bankruptcy. Since the topic is how you bankrupt a limited company, we will focus on the bankruptcy process. So in the bankruptcy, the trustee prepares the necessary documentation. A meeting of directors has to be called for the directors to resolve that the company should file an assignment in bankruptcy and appoint one of the directors to be the designated officer in the bankruptcy administration. That's the person who has knowledge of the affairs of the company, who will be signing the bankruptcy documentation, and who will be attending the first meeting of creditors as a representative of the company. The trustee would either attend the meeting and prepare the minutes, or the minutes would be prepared by the directors and provided to the trustee. Then comes the statement of affairs, which is the listing of assets and liabilities, the names, addresses, and amounts owing to each creditor, which the designated officer would swear, and the actual assignment document. The trustee then files that documentation electronically with the superintendent of bankruptcy, and the local office of the superintendent of bankruptcy would then issue a certificate indicating that the company is now bankrupt and that the trustee is appointed. That is the moment when the bankruptcy actually occurs and the bankruptcy administration begins. So in the bankruptcy administration, the trustee has several responsibilities. The trustee has to deal with the assets. The trustee has to first determine, are the assets subject to the security of a lender? And is that lender's security good and valid? If all of the assets are encumbered, then the trustee would not take steps to deal with the secured creditor's assets unless the secured creditor specifically requests the trustee to do so or appoints the trustee to deal with the assets. So let's just take the case where the trustee is dealing with the assets either because they're not encumbered or because the secured creditor asked the trustee to deal with them. The trustee needs to make sure that the assets are physically safeguarded, that they're properly insured, and that the trustee has performed an inventory of what those assets are. Then the trustee has to determine, how is it going to sell those assets? Does it make sense for the trustee to run the business? And if so, is it looking to sell the assets as a business unit, an actual running business, a going concern sale? If it doesn't make sense for the trustee to run the business, then the trustee will shut it down and look at the alternatives for sale. The assets could either be sold at auction, the trustee could run a tender sale, dividing the assets up into blocks that make sense, or if the assets are such that they can be sold to the public in a retail environment, could operate a retail sale. The nature of the assets will determine what kind of sale the trustee runs. The trustee would notify the creditors of the bankruptcy, call for claims, assess the claims, hold the first meeting of creditors, and then ultimately make a distribution to the creditors. So as you can see, these are the players in a voluntary bankruptcy filing for a corporation. It all starts with meeting with the trustee to explore the various options. I hope you have found this information useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at any time. Our contact details are coming up right now.
I hope you enjoyed the video. The Ira Smith team is available to help you at any time. We offer sound advice and a solid plan for starting now, so that you'll be well on your way to a debt-free life in no time. For more information on a no-cost basis, please visit our website or call us. Our website and telephone details are coming right up now. Ow.